2004 Prius. This will probably be a 2 or 3 part series, going through the process of leak checking, which I already did with the H10 while it was stagnant and off, looking for leaks. Then I injected dye because there was no dye in it before, so then I used UV light so you can actually see the dye and the refrigerant flowing inside the sight glass. Right there. There you go. Now you can have a good look at the refrigerant flow in the sight glass. This vehicle has been running for 10 minutes now. It's on fresh air mode. So it's bringing in the hot air from outside here. In our air from our sensor that's coming from outside, there's a little canister. Oh yeah, let me get it out of micro mode. Right there. That's picking up the air being sucked in through the condenser. And that's reading 78 degrees. Then we have the sensor probes, one going on the suction line right here to read the temperature of the suction line so we can get our superheat. Then we have our other temperature probe going on the liquid line here so we can get our subcooling measurement. Right now I do not have the valves engaged. It's closed off from the system because I'm pulling a vacuum, because I just finished this vehicle, this Tacoma, that had a very unusual leak problem that could not be found until after it was recharged. This vehicle here, there's a video I'm about to release, pulled all the way down. It was able to pull down to I think 170, 200 microns, and then when stabilizing it and reading the micron level, turning off the vacuum pump, letting it sit for 15 minutes. On that Toyota Tacoma, the micron level only went up to 1075 microns and then just held steady there for 15 minutes. It didn't move at all. I said, okay, we're good to go. Customer said this AC didn't work for almost a decade. It was just been sitting. And so I proceeded to charge it up. Went through the charge, and you'll see in the other video, the condenser has like 20 or 30 little pinholes where the dye, the UV dye came through, and there's pinholes everywhere. But yet it completely passed the vacuum decay test. And if you had a set of analog gauges with needles, you definitely you wouldn't even notice. You could have left it on overnight and your needles on your gauges would have held. I'm very curious of thinking of doing a pressure decay test and see how it holds up. But so here we go. We're about to 35 microns, so we know our hoses are clean and dry and there's no contamination in our hoses. Lines, gauges off. Okay. High side. And as you can see, as it's running right now, our air is in recycle. Yeah, right now I just put it in recycle mode. It's down to 57 degrees in recycle mode. When I have it in fresh air mode, with this air going on. Now this air right here going through is coming from the radiator, blowing up here with your hand, you could feel it, and it's being sucked down in. So the air is going down is 100 degrees once I turn it back into fresh air mode. So let's turn it back into fresh air mode. Okay, now we're back into fresh air mode. So now it's going to suck down 100 degree air. 98, well now it's doing a big volume. It's not gathering, it's dropping to average out. So the air gets sucked down everywhere. And I have it all the way back down in there where you cannot see, but it's into the hole that's located way back here in the firewall, where the air just goes right down into the evaporator. So we have 92 degrees going in. I just put it on the fresh air mode. Now our supply air came up to 62 degrees. And I can tell you where it says here wet bulb 58 degrees. Your regular bulb temperature is the 62 degrees. The 58 degrees, if you have sweat on your arm, you're a little moist, when you put that flowing 60 degree to air, it feels like it's in the 50s. That's why a customer With this ambient air temperature, it would say, oh yeah, my air's okay, and the shop might just put their hand there and say my air's okay. So let's suction line. Why are we still pulling in microns? That's not right. Oh, hey, let's be an idiot here. Live on camera, leave it in. Look at this. I didn't have it in all the way. Don't edit out your mistakes, because this is real life and we all make mistakes. Okay, now let's get back there. So, 15 plus minutes runtime. You've seen all the bubbles in the thing. Never judge a system full or low, unless it's really severely low, you really tell. But okay, so let's get back to this. Superheat. 77 degrees of superheat. Okay, these are very important numbers. I'll get more detail. Subcooling. Minus 2.7, which is basically impossible. That's just because the system isn't working properly. Our liquid line temperature coming out of the condenser, which is this line with this temperature probe on it, coming out of the liquid line bottom of the condenser, we're at 97 degrees. Our suction line temperature, that is coming back from the evaporator back there. You see that diagonal tube going up at about a 45-degree angle. That's your suction line. It comes there, it comes back here. It's the silver line right there to our low side fitting. And then I have my temperature probe right here, and it's protected by rags all around it, protect the probe from heat. And so we have a suction line temperature of 89 degrees. That is the temperature of that line after coming out of the evaporator. So wait a minute, how is that problem? How can we have an evaporator temperature of 89 degrees, but yet we have an air supply temperature of 68 degrees? That's because all the energy of the refrigerant, its capacity to absorb and do work, is being completely used up in the bottom of the evaporator. So if you were to look at evaporator and the refrigerant goes in and it slowly filters through or goes up, most of the work is being done and expelled at the lower, say, we're going to use the example, the lower third of the evaporator, or the lower, if it's a parallel flow, the lower first third of the evaporator. All the refrigerant is flashing off. It could do no work. After this point, now it just starts picking up heat, and then it leaves the pipe, and the pipe comes out here. Now we have a hot exhaust manifold, and we have all the temperature heat. Well, all this heat is hitting that pipe, so that leftover gas is actually getting superheated, and that's where the word term superheat comes from. We're superheating the gas. It's done all its work. It got past the point of zero, and now it's getting hotter. And then we pick it up over here after it's picked up a bunch of heat. We have a delta of 21. So we have a 21 split over that evaporator right now. I will take and measure the quantity of refrigerant, and in the next video, just right after this one, I'll let you know what it is. So let's put this back on. Do that again. We're on recycle now. Now we're going to get rid of that 98 degree temperature heat, or 92 as it is right now. And looks like we lost our pressures down here, but we'll just look at it up here. So here's our pressures for you guys who love to watch pressures. Superheat. So now I have the hot air going over the dash. You notice our superheat went up because even more heat is being added to the temperature of the gas. So this is the end of part one. Part two to come in a few minutes.